Good morning, everybody. Well, after last night's car crash of a Facebook Live and YouTube Live with all of our freezing, etc. going on, we said we would, rather than try and do our demo with all the freezing, we would do a recording and put it up for you. So here's the recording. I'm going to quickly run through what last night's show was about, which was technically our official launch of our brand new stencils. So if I just quickly flick through those with you, and then we will get to the demo. So here we go. So first of all, we have got our lines stencil, and that's a 7x7, and you've got a little bit of a funky detail at the top of this one. Then we have got our chaos stencil. Again, this is a 7x7, and that's fairly self-explanatory. Then we have our dot dash stencil. Loving this. We had some fabulous samples last night on our lives, so if you can get back and watch that, it's available on our YouTube channel. That's also a 7x7, and then we have another 7x7 stencil and mask. So you get the mask of the ferns, and you've got obviously a left and a right, and one's slightly, very slightly smaller than the other. But it just still gives you your left and your right. That was the most important thing. And then we have, in addition to our other stencil and mask sets that we had previously, we have got our ovals, which you will have seen us use circles. We've got the circles, the stars and the hexagons. This is adding into that collection. So we've got ovals. And what started that whole collection off was a scrap bit of paper really that Mum was using, and it was with this flower. And what she had done, she'd cut her flowers out in vellum and hadn't coloured them in properly, or hadn't coloured them in before she cut them out, which is very unlike my mother. And so she decided to colour them in on a scrap bit of paper, and when she was doing it, the effect underneath was just amazing. So that was where the whole idea came from. So you will also get your flower stencils and masks. Now, if I remember rightly, I'm just going to take this out and double check. I have a feeling, a bit like our circles, the smallest one isn't there. So we've got 2, 4, 5, 6, 2, 4, 6. Yeah, so this tiny little one here is, as a mask, is no use to anybody. So you don't get that mask with it, but you get all of the others, but you obviously get it as a stencil. So you get 6 masks and 7 stencil holes. So I hope that makes sense to you all. I did just need to double check because I suddenly thought, oh, I can't remember if I did do that or not. You do get them all with the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, you do get all of the stencils for the ovals, but you're missing that small one on the circles, or on the flowers, sorry. So that is all the new stencils. They go alongside the new release of the stamps that we did a couple of weeks ago, which was our Circle Splash, our Crazy Daisy, Floral Art, General Sentiments, Trailing Thoughts, and last but not least, Floral Arrangement. So I'm going to get started on this missing demo, which aloofed us last night. So we'll get Matt out. Let's see where I've got to position this so that you can see me. Right, so what are we using today? We are going to, I've got it all stacked up here, so let's see if I can do it without it all falling everywhere. You never know. So we have got our cardstock in 250 and 300 GSM. I'm actually going to zoom that out a little bit. Wrong way. You'll see a few bits and pieces on the side, but I'm sure you don't mind. So we've got our cardstock in 250 and 300 GSM. The 2 white cardstocks. There is also black cardstock. We're using a tiny amount of black cardstock to layer the sentiment on this one, and that's all. we are using Floral Arrangement stamp set. We're using our sticky glue that comes in the 2 sizes. We're using Versafine Onyx Black, crystal clear embossing powder, anti-static bag. We are also using cracked pistachio, peacock feathers, can't fit all of this on here, look. Peacock feathers, fossilized amber, worn lipstick, and seedless, no, picked raspberry distress oxides. And we are using pens in yellow green 53, mid green 046, turquoise green 042, yellow number 50 and orange number 70, and then the blender pen 999. These are the clean colour wheel brush markers that you see me use on a regular basis. And then finally back in stock are blending brushes, which come in the 2 sizes. We've got the large one in the case. Let's come in, there we go, large one in that comes in a case. And then we have got the smaller one, as we call it, with a cap on so it protects those bristles. And that's everything we're going to be using. So again, let's move these bits and pieces out of the way that we don't need at this moment. And keep the bits we do need. I'll put them back in the order I need to use them in, and that will make my life a little bit easier when we get to actually making this. Now this is a concept that we did at our workshops. It's actually going to be done in the slightly smaller version of it, but you will, if you've attended any of our workshops this spring, you will have done this but with slightly different sizes, just to confuse you all. So what cardstock do we need? Not a huge amount. I've got a little piece of paper here somewhere telling me what the sizes are, and I can't find what I've done with it. That wasn't ideal, was it? Probably put it away knowing my luck. Right, so I know that we've got 2 scrap pieces, one just for a sentiment and one that you're going to be stamping on. We've got 2 pieces that are 3/4 of an inch long, and then they are 5 7/8. And I know you all hate my 7/8 pieces, my 1/8 pieces, but that's because of the size of our cards that we have. The base is a 6 by 6, but the actual, it's technically a 6 by 6 card, but it's a 6 by 6 envelope that they're used for, so the cards are very slightly smaller. And then last but not least, we have a 6 by 5 7/8 piece of cardstock, and that was all done by memory. Now I've just got to hope I remember where we've got to score it. Right, so we are going to be doing some scoring now. Scoring first, yeah, we'll get the scoring bit done first. So I'll put all of these pieces out of my way, and we just need these 6 5/8, no, 6 by 5 7/8 piece of paper at this moment in time. You're going to score it at 3/4 of an inch. Now this is on the 6-inch length, not on the 5 7/8. That would be slightly shorter. We're going on the 6-inch length, and you have to do it on that because otherwise it won't work when we get to the other bit. So remember, 6, this section, this side of it is 6 inches. I know it's only that tiny amount. That tiny amount will throw everything off. So you're scoring at 3/4 of an inch, you're scoring at 1.5 inches, you're scoring at 4.5 inches, and at 5.25 inches. And that's the hardest bit of what you're going to be doing. Now it's entirely up to you whether you do your folds now or not. I'm not going to do them on this piece, just so that you can, I will show you how it all folds in a minute. I don't know if we're going to be able to pick up those score lines on here anyway. Don't think it's going to show. Oh, might just catch it if we're lucky. Anyway, they're in 3/4 of an inch gap. Then you've got 3 inches in the middle, I think it is, and 3/4 of an inch either side on the other side as well. So I'm just going to position this down. We are also using, which I didn't tell you in our other thing, in our what we're using is the Chaos Stencil. Now you don't need to score the two out, or to stencil the two outer pieces. I'm wondering if I'm better to come in a little bit so you can see a bit more of what we're doing. That might, no, I'm not going to be on. Sorry, we're just fiddling about a little bit with this. So you don't need to worry about getting any stenciling on the outer pieces, and it doesn't matter if you do get any on the outer pieces, because you're going to be putting something over the top of those anyway. So position your stencil where you want it. Now obviously my stencil's got a couple of solid pieces in there, and I quite like the detail on this. So I'm going to move those solid pieces over a little bit so that they will probably pick up on that section that doesn't get seen. Predominantly, we've got a piece there that's going to be in there, but that's fine. I'm wondering if I maybe turn it around if we get more of the detail. Yeah, that's the perk of having a stencil that you can move about. So we're just going to hold that down with our magnets. As I said, it doesn't matter if you get anything on the outer edge. It's going to come over a little bit. And really, honestly, it doesn't matter if you get it on the second one in either, because you're not really going to see it. But if you need to just finish it off, you can. It just gives you a little bit of leeway in case you do go over the edges. I don't want you to feel that you ruined it. So we're using those same bright colours that we used last time because they were fab. And we're just going to go in rough. In fact, you know what? I am going to fold it because it will make it easier for you to see. So your folds are going to come in and backwards. So the middle fold in and take your sides outwards, so you will end up with that kind of a shape. Right, that just will make it a little bit easier when we're putting our stencils down. Here we go. I'll just work with it as it is there. Just makes your lines a little bit more prominent when you're stenciling so you can see where you're going. So we'll pick up some ink and we're just going to blend these colours together. Now obviously it's not a huge piece of paper, so you don't need to put lots of colour on there. Ooh, I can't blend with my right hand, my left hand even, should I say. That wasn't very comfy. So you remember you've got to have room for that blend to happen as well. So don't be going on too wider sections. So obviously there's 5 colours to get on here and it's not a very big piece of paper. So you're looking at about just over an inch on each of the colours. And as I said, it really doesn't matter if you go over that third, your outside panel, so to speak, because you're not going to see them. I promise you. Okay, then we're going to go in with our fossilised amber, and each time I add a new colour, there's obviously some of the previous colours ink still on that stencil, so it gives me a little bit of opportunity to go in and use those 2 inks together to blend those 2 colours together on the join. Because to go from an orange to a yellow is quite a big difference. Sorry, from a pink to a yellow is quite a big difference. And then from a yellow to a turquoisey blue, again, quite a big difference. So having that extra ink sitting there makes that blend a little bit easier, which is, as I've said to you all previously, stenciling is a great way to learn how to blend, because you can work out how heavy it is, how light it is, but you've also got extra inks to move stuff about that sit on the stencil. It just makes it a little bit easier. And then last but not least, we're going in with some cracked pistachio. But again, as I've said, it doesn't matter if you go over the edges, because we are going to be putting something on the top. My goodness, we've already done 15 minutes of this demo. And imagine if we'd have tried to do that last night. If those of you that were watching, we had a lot of technical difficulties with Facebook and YouTube freezing on us last night. So it was quite a task in itself. Right, so that is all of our blending done. There's a little bit up there that I think I'm going to add a little bit heavier on. And I'm just going to lift the bottom too and just have a look to make sure I'm happy with it, which I was. And we're going to remove that. As I said, it doesn't matter if you've caught these two outside panels. You don't need to have it coloured, but it can be coloured if it makes your life easier. Got ink up my nails. That's going to go a long way, isn't it? So I'm going to just take this out of our way, wipe off my extra ink on there, and then we are done with that bit. Now, just so that I don't manage to spread this over a million places, because there is quite a lot of ink on this stencil, and it... Shall I be really good and use up what ink is left on that stencil? Shall we? Just as it is. I'm not adding any ink to the brushes, but I'm just going to use up some of that ink that's on there. I might be adding more ink on here, but I think it's kind of funky. And it'll just be a lighter version of what's already been used. As I said, I haven't added anything to this stencil or to the brushes. I'm literally just taking off some of what is already on there. Ooh! So that's just the excess ink that was on the stencil. There is obviously still some on there, so we can get rid of some of that now, but that saves wasting all of that ink. I suppose if you had a gel plate with you, which I don't have one here, you could use it that way too, couldn't you? Right, so I'll just pop that out of our way. So we have now got our card base done. The actual card base itself, I'm just going to quickly run round the edge with, I think I'm going to go with a bit of the green actually. Again, I haven't really added any extra ink to that. I'm just adding some colour to the outside edge of the card, otherwise it could look a little bit stark once we start putting this together. So as I said, it really is just a tiny, tiny shade of green on there. I should have used the extra ink inside, shouldn't I? That would have been nice. As I always say to you, I'm not going to go right to the edge because I want room to move, but I'm going to take some of these colours through here. Just a subtle hint of it on the inside of your card ties everything together. So when the card's going to be opening as a 10th fold. So you'll just have that tiny little hint to what's going on the outside, on the inside. So that's all of our stenciling done. Nothing else left to do. You've already put your folds in. I'm just going to reinforce that folding on here. And that is the hardest part of your whole card done. Again, I'm just going to pop that off to one side. Right, those little white strips that you have, you need to choose one of your colours and you're just going to blend those with a colour. hopefully you'll end up with 2 like so. And pop those off to one side. Don't stick anything down yet because you've still got work to do. Just dry that. Right, so now we're going to get onto our stamping. So as I said, we are using the Floral Arrangement stamp set and our Versafine Onyx Black and Crystal Clear Embossing Powder. So you're going to take the scrap bits of paper. Now obviously this is quite a long and thin stamp, so any of those pieces that you've got for cut-offs from your A4 sheets of paper, these will be great for that. Ink that all up. Lots and lots of little light taps. And as I said, this is just a scrap piece. This isn't watercolour cardstock, so be aware of that when you come to doing your colouring. You could, if you want to blend this more watercolour, paper does work better for blending with these pens, but I'm going to show you a couple of little tricks to help you with that. And then we're going to take the Crystal Clear Embossing Powder and pop that. Just going to make sure there's no embossing powder still in there. That's the wrong colour. Crystal Clear Embossing Powder all over the top of that one. And a light tap to take the excess off. We're then going to heat that. I'll put the lid on there because you know I'm going to tip that all over. And we're going to heat that from underneath. Now I always do my stenciling first when I'm doing something like this, just because if I want to do any stamping onto the stenciling, it gives it time to dry while I do everything else. So we're going to heat emboss this. And that's that bit done. And wouldn't you know it, as soon as I did that, I dropped all my pens on the floor. So I'm just going to grab those. And I've just found my bit of paper that had all my sizing on, which was literally right in front of me, but I hadn't seen it. Right, so as I said, this isn't watercolour cardstock, but it does work much better on watercolour cardstock if you're blending, unless you try these little techniques. Because if we try to blend this, I'll just do it in a corner here because we're going to be cutting this off. If I try to blend this on plain cardstock, it doesn't like to blend. You can still see the solid, there's no blend there. What I suggest you do is you pop some colour down on your craft mat, then you take your lighter colour that you're going to be blending with and pick up a small amount of that colour. So you start where your darker colour would have been, and then you come out, and it will still blend to your lighter colour because the ink that you've picked up off your mat will disperse from the brush as you're doing it, so you will still get that blend. It may not be quite as a strong a blend as you would get if you were on watercolour cardstock, so you would have maybe have a slightly darker orange here in this section. But a lot of us know that cardstock at the moment, prices are through the roof. Don't keep going scribbling over and over the same section, because if you do that, the more you do it, the more torn up your paper will get. So you really don't want to keep going over and over the same pieces. Do not forget to blot it. As I said, it is the quickest and easiest way to blend with plain cardstock, not on a watercolour cardstock. But if you are doing a special card, or not that all cards aren't special that you make, but you know what I mean, something for a very special occasion, and you wanted to use the watercolour cardstock, you can, but this is a trick around not having to use watercolour cardstock. And I promise you, your yellow brush will go back to being completely orange. No, it won't. It'll go back to being completely yellow from the orange. Now I want that bit there to be slightly darker, so we'll fill that in darker. And then literally to take that, if you've still got, I don't know if you can see here, my yellow brush still looks a little bit orange, and all I need to do is run that over the top of some kitchen paper, and we now have back to yellow brush. So it doesn't stain your brushes. I'm not going to go in and colour all of this in because I have already done one, but I am going to tell you a little bit about the fussy cutting that goes with this. And I know lots of you don't like fussy cutting, so just do it to the best that you can do it. It doesn't have to be perfect. So all I'm going to say is when we fussy cut this, and I have got one already done, I left myself a small border all the way around everything. So if I just do a couple of pieces so it makes sense to you. Little trick to fussy cutting is move your cardstock rather than your scissors. Once you've found a comfortable position with your scissors, leave them in place as best you can and move your cardstock around. It will make it flow easier. Anyway, this is what I mean by leaving myself a little border. I am not going to go in and out of every single one of those pieces. You can see that I've left a border around those. It doesn't have to be beautiful. People are not going to see that. Once it's all cut out, hopefully, and coloured in, hopefully it's going to look something like this. So you can see where I went round, I've left myself a white border. But unless I point that white border out to you, you don't see that white border. But it just gives you a little bit more room for sticking down. And I have pre-done my sentiment. I did sending you a bunch of happiness. So that is all our components for our card done. So you've got your card base, you've got your mechanism piece, you've got your two strips, and you've got your stamped out image, coloured and cut out. To try and stick this image on, because this is going to go across here, so to try and stick this on here and make that still work to do what we need it to do is near on impossible. Hence we have these two extra strips. Now I always do this onto my scoreboard just because I know the lines on my scoreboard are straight and not every other line I do is straight. So I'm going to use my scoreboard and I'm going to take the mechanism piece. There's different ways that you can do this. I tend to work like this. Now this is going to be stuck on here, okay, but this piece will come out a bit, will come out as we do this. So we fold these in, we're going to stick this in place here with some really, really low tack tape, the lowest tack tape you've got. You're literally holding it there just for the sake of. I work off the number 3, but it doesn't have to be the 3 wherever you've got a line. But the gap between of these two is the width of, trying to do it and hold everything, is the width of this piece. So not the 2 bits that you scored, it's that section there. So that's about 3 inches if I remember right off the top of my head. So we're going to stick this one at number 3 to the left of number 3, and this one, trying to make it as least sticky as possible. Now this is Post-it on a roll, which you can get from a company that delivers the next day. So this ours came off Amazon. There's lots of different types on the market, but so once they're stuck down, that should be that width. Just going to nudge that one over just a tad. And obviously you need them to be straight. There we go. So that's that gap. You're then going to take your image. I'm trying to decide which end I want up. I think we'll go there. Got my sentiment. So roughly where you want your image to be. Look on your card, and then we need to attach this, and it is going to be attached at the smallest of points, unless you're going to go further up and then you'll get a little bit more. I'm going to try my best to make that stick like that, I think, because if we go that way around, it's going to be the same amount stuck, isn't it? I'm going to go up this way. I'm going to put my sentiment at the bottom. You need to do it so that everything stays under that radar. So then you're going to pretty much be eyeballing this for where you're gluing. And this one really is going to be taking just a tiny amount of glue. Along the edge here, and a little bit here is picking up. Giving myself a little bit more to work with there, I think, than I had. And once you've stuck the bits down, remember you need to make sure these pieces stay in place. You don't want them moving. Just give that a couple of seconds to hold itself. And then we can take these away. And your piece hopefully will be stuck together. Now obviously at this point in time it's quite flimsy, so be careful with it. Don't ask it to do more than it needs to. And then these pieces then get stuck on here. Hopefully then that will allow that to fold down flat. And the reason we do it like that is because that will then make sure that when you've stuck these pieces down on your main frame, your mechanism, it will make sure that these folds stand at a 90-degree angle. That's the plan anyway. Now I'm actually going to pop a little bit of glue on both of these side panels rather than trying to do it on here, because obviously it's quite flimsy on there. If you do it on a bigger version, we did this on a bigger version at our workshops, which I think I have here somewhere that I can show you. Yeah, I'll show you this one at the end. I did briefly show you at the last one, but just so that you can see the bigger version. Everything about it was the same, it was just the length was slightly shorter. So I'm going to stick one side down first, and then I'm going to slide that over and pick up this side, which then we hope, if everything has stuck where it should, that will fold down flat. So it's not going to fold in flat like that, it's going to fold flat like that. Okay. And just goes either way. But that will then mean that you get your 90-degree corners here. There are people tried lots of different ways, and some of them are a bit hit and miss, and some of them work really well. That it's up to you to. This is the best way I've found to work it out. We need to put that sentiment in there before we stick it down. Again, I've got it on a foam pad, but I have popped a little bit of wet glue on there, which gives you the wiggle room to get that sentiment in there straight. So we're going to then just put glue on that middle panel. It's quite difficult to see all this white and white and white, isn't it? And you're just eyeballing it. There is no making sure it's in the middle. All you need to do is make sure that when that folds down, it will go slightly over the edge, very slightly over the edge, and that all stands proud. Okay. And that's the card finished. So it will collapse down nicely to go in a 6x6 envelope, so it goes as a standard letter size. I think even as is, I think it would still fit through as a standard letter because of the thickness. I've tried to keep it as slim as possible to make that work, but hopefully it might work better if I flick you around to show you this way around. There you go. This has got a green edge, which you can't see at all on the camera. Can you pick it up there? There we go. You can just see there is a green edge all the way around there. But that is how the card works. And then remember, we took that colour on the inside as well. Voila, one finished card. And what was that? 37 minutes in total, and all I'd done is cut this out ahead of schedule. And that's even with all my waffling. So, shall we go back and have a quick run through what we've used? So we used our floral arrangement stamp set, Chaos stencil, our sticky glues that come in the 2 sizes, Versafine Onyx black and crystal clear embossing powder. Now the anti-static bag I mentioned earlier, that's if you're going to have your image stamped out and you're going to stencil something and then you want to stamp straight onto it. Make sure you use that anti-static bag in there first. What else did we use? We've got the white cardstock that comes in the 2 colours that we do. Sorry, 2 weights. 250 GSM or 300 GSM, and the black cardstock as well, which also comes in 270 GSM or 120 GSM. And then the colours we have used, but I just get these out of the way because they're all still open. So we've used cracked pistachio, peacock feathers, fossilized amber, worn lipstick, and picked raspberry. So they were our oxide colours, and our pens are yellow 050, orange 070, yellow green 053, mid green 046, turquoise green 42, and a blender pen at 99. Sorry, 999, 999. So they are all our colours. slide that way a bit, shall we? Trying to get it all in so you can see everything, and if you needed to get a screenshot of what we used. And then obviously we had our blending brushes, which come in the 2 sizes. So we've got the larger one that comes in the case, and then the smaller one that comes with the cap on top. There you go. So that's everything, and there is our fab card that we've just made. So hopefully all of you lovely people that decided to join us last night after we had all the problems, that's what we were going to be doing last night, so hopefully you've enjoyed that. And if anybody's got any questions, please feel free to email me. Oh, I was going to show you the bigger version of it. This was the bigger version, so that's what we've just done. Backwards, not forwards. That's what we've just done. That's the previous one. So this is an A5 landscape card that we've done it onto. And obviously this is just a 6x6. So that's the 2. So hopefully you enjoyed that. And if you have any questions, please feel free to email me at honeydewcrafts@gmail.com, or you can go through our website, which is honeydewcrafts.co.uk or .com for overseas. I think that's everything. If I just quickly spring that up, I think it will give you the information directly to Facebook. What have I written on there? Okay, I did that a while ago, so I hadn't got a clue what was on that one. So honeydewcrafts.co.uk or .com, I think it comes up there. But yeah, and if you have enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe to our Facebook and YouTube pages. As I say, sorry about last night's YouTube and Facebook lives. Hope you've enjoyed today, and we will see you all again in, I think it's 2 weeks time, which I want to say is the 6th of June. But if not, please look out on our Facebook pages and register for our newsletter, and you'll get all the information. Take care and have a lovely day. Bye.